Hello and welcome to another episode of Code with Briley. Today we're going to be working on the Western Friend website where we've got a report in Sentry that there's an N+1 query. So one of our templates is causing a pretty heavy query. So today we'll learn about N+1 queries a bit using the help of the Sentry documentation as well as ChatGPT. And we'll see if we can find a solution here. Go ahead and get our branch set up. Sort of diving in quickly without too much preparation. And restart these so they go away real quick. So N+1 queries are a performance problem in which the application makes database queries in a loop, instead of making a single query that returns or modifies the information all at once. Each database connection takes some amount of time, so querying the database in a loop can be many times slower than using it just once. The problem often occurs when you use an object relational mapping (ORM) tool in web frameworks like Django or Ruby on Rails. So the Sentry N+1 query detector has determined that there's an N+1 loop here. We'll create a quick branch, and then the detector for performance issues looks for a set of sequential, non-overlapping database spans with similar descriptions. It also uses the following criteria. The total duration of the involved spans must exceed a threshold, at least 100 milliseconds. Total count of involved spans must exceed a threshold, usually 5. Involved spans must have full queries as their descriptions. Some SDKs truncate the queries and add ellipses at the end. There must be at least one database span that precedes the repeating spans. This is the source span and used for fingerprinting. Hence the N, or the +1 actually. The N+1 is the source span. And you can see here we've got a cascade of very short, but dozens of select wagtail core page ID where something. So let's see, I've written some code that's not very performant. And it's a foot gun, so we can make those foot guns. That's why we put in tooling to help us find some of those, such as Sentry, which is free for open source projects. Okay, so the community app is here. Remember, there's no shame in the game. We're always learning and we're always growing. And one of the best ways to learn and grow is to make mistakes. That's where we learn our best lessons and where we gain more resiliency. If everything is just too easy, it's not very challenging, right? Community index, worship index page. So our community index worship listing. And this is probably where I had a bit of troubles writing this template. We're sorting it. We're fetching children of this page. And we're doing something with each one of them. What I'm guessing, I don't know this to be a case. But this specific modifier might be the culprit. Otherwise, it could be the fact that I'm getting the children in this. This sorting should be happening in Python, though. Select, and you get a bunch of page information where see how these are selecting Wagtail core page and then community online worship page. In the Wagtail way of doing things, I suppose you would say, we define a data model built around pages. Page is a sort of a fusion of a couple of concepts in Django and other web development frameworks as well. Like, we have a model that kind of interacts with the database. We define views that pull, put and pull information from the database to the database or whatever. The views prepare it and render it into templates. And then the views are mapped to paths by a URL mapper. The Wagtail core page kind of does all of that. It does the, it's a model, and it combines the view and automatically generates a URL map by virtue of positioning in a tree, a page tree. So all of these are essentially Wagtail core pages, and then we're combining a sub-entity called a community online worship page that has some particular details that aren't on the main generic page model. All of these are on the generic page model. When I use the specific, we're getting these fields. And maybe that's causing cascading queries. So to dig in, let's start a database. Again, this is a total guess. Whoops, let me make sure I'm paying attention over here to YouTube chat, just in case. And I've got a nice tonic water with a little bit of lime in there for refreshing drink. Okay. And when I viewed this span horizontally, it's a lot of text. But it's more or less all these fields. They're all really quick. It's like it's working with a single row. It's pretty much the same fields, but it's like running that query for all the children. So another thing I could do and it's interpolating the ID as a string. I'm doing this whole thing basically in the template, including the dictionary sort. I think if I were to move it to the view, in essence, the view is actually over here defined in models. So as I was mentioning, the Wagtail way is sort of unified. We're in the index page, so that would be the online worship index page. If I view this entity, it's a Wagtail page instance, and on page instances, I can define get context. And let's see what Copilot's thinking. This is not bad. It's pretty good guess. It's really what I'm after. The Wagtail page model is hierarchical, so it goes underneath of our community page, and the subpage type is the key here. That these are online worship entities, which is why I'm able to get the children of the page which in essence is all the children are online worship instances, and all of the online worship instances are children of this page by constraint. If I look at the online worship model, you'll see this constraint. We should see this constraint. I'm not sure if I'm fully consistent with it, but usually I define, yeah, here we go, parent page type. So this can only go under the online worship index page, and it cannot have any children. So this is sort of like a filing cabinet, you could think of it, or a content tree, and you can really have specific folders or positions for particular types. So coming back to it, this online worship index page get context method written by Copilot is right on the spot. I want all the online worship objects that have been published and that are public. Don't actually remember if this is necessary. Public. Probably not. It's kind of insistent on this public thing. Let's see if I've used that elsewhere. I don't think so. We use it over here. It seems superfluous. Let me double check the page model. Live, right? Live. No. And I might, this might be a mistake. So we've got the database running. Let's go ahead and get into the project running the server there. Cool. But yeah, I'm really glad to be, I'm glad to be using Sentry. I've just enabled it on this project as we're getting closer to launch. We believe, we're aiming for launch in August. It's only a few days away. Or at least if we didn't have clear indications that we could launch by August, we're going to shuttle the project. We're going to kind of put it down. So really interesting and important time for this project, this Western Front website. I'm really hoping to pull it through, and have been working real diligently over the last weeks to improve our code coverage, and actually a whole chunk of our coverage we're probably not going to worry about is import scripts. So nonetheless, this, if it is safe to ignore these content migration scripts and rely on manual coverage, manual review, the actual overall test coverage is fairly good. And just again, we've been working on it recently quite a lot. So these I want to sort by, and let me see if I can get some help from Copilot to kind of let me think at a higher level of what I'm trying to achieve, and let sort of Copilot think at the syntactic level and the framework level. Get children, we're sorting by title. I'll give it a good prompt here. We'll cut this one just, we can use it. Whoops. Online worship equals, now what's it thinking? It's thinking it's gonna have a long line. Ah, yeah. And that's interesting that it did this by day and time, which could be useful. Another high-level goal, sort of the way the page is designed on the original website, these are subgrouped by day of week. I didn't do that in our template here. I'm just sort of sorting everything by title because it was more pragmatic. But Django, in particular, Django template language has a sort of a group by mechanism, regroup it's called, that would allow me to regroup these by day. Essentially, if somebody's looking to connect with one of these groups, they're likely going to be basing it around their location first. You're not going to connect with a group in a different state or country, probably. These are, well, sorry, these are online. That's take that back. You're probably more likely to connect with an online worship group in your country or state, but it's not a barrier because it's online. Now, the other thing you're probably interested in is, time zones and day of the week to fit your schedule. And so for that, grouping it by day and time, and then displaying it in the local time zone, those would be potentially useful. So it's very interesting. Copilot doesn't know any of that, but sort of inferred that it would be a natural ordering of things in a way. I think and it's able to pick up fields from the models in here. I think mostly from this context. All right, so all of that to say, I'm just going to leave it here, but it's kind of, again, insisting on these, which is okay. That's the job of the Copilot, to suggest things, which is another interesting thing I've observed about my workflow in relation to Copilot. It's not all, it's a give or take, and it sometimes introduces me to different ways of thinking about a problem and uncovers different use cases, for example, or test cases that I should be covering. So if I've treated it more in that sense, like, jamming, like in a group, you kind of riff off of each other's work. It's clearly, deriving a lot of its output from my input, not only the prompt, but the context to a large extent, which is potentially generated by Copilot, not in this file necessarily, but especially in the test cases. I've only started using it in the last few months, of course, and this code base is around, some of these files are like years old, 3-5 years sometimes. I blame, doesn't show. Okay, so let's get back to it. Let's add a little annotation here. This is going to return a dictionary, context dictionary. We've got these live online worship objects sorted by title, and I guess since we're doing something with them here, we want to collapse that. It's still a query set, I guess. Yeah, so it's still a query set. That means our template engine doesn't have to do this now. Let's get the environment up. So in other words, now we need some data to work with. We'll grab this, and I'm going to grab a little bit, another of these, tonic and lime. So won't you join me for a tonic and lime, if you've got it. If not, they're pretty yummy. I highly recommend them. I'll be right back. Okay, thanks for your patience. We've got the project running and a fresh tonic and lime. Don't need no alcohol, just a nice low sugar tonic and a squeeze of lime. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, my logo's gone. I've been working, and my image here is gone. Been working with the dang, and this favicon is the other issue we're getting in the Sentry errors. I'm going to put a favicon there. I've been working with the static files. I switched the project over. How we're handling static files. Yeah. Beating 404s on all of our static files. Good grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Yeah, it's working in production now. It's now working in development. Previously it was working in development, but not in debug mode. Ah. Am I in debug mode? Probably not. Because I switched it. So it wouldn't default to debug. That's the case. Just do this. More explicit, a bit more verbose. But safer. Oh, still having problems there. Good grief, bro. Good setting. These little things throw you off. Oh, okay. Yeah. Django debug. Yeah, that makes sense. So, I have so many environment variables. I found it useful to kind of prefix them with what their related component, their related software component or service component you could think of. I've got Sentry variables, I've got Braintree variables, and I've got Django variables. And they kind of that way are lumped together. I can think about them more like concretely. It tells me where it's going. So now if I do Django debug is true, then we're going to have some side effects desirable in a development environment. This is a recent change, so it's easy. Again, we're human, I'm human. Easy to make little mistakes and forget stuff. Now we've got things working. Session data got corrupted, but that's okay. Back running. Okay, so we're looking at a particular section of the site. The events section has a page called Online Worship. This page will render all of our meetings for online worship. It renders this template. Now, however, not logged in. So let's do that. We'll see a little wagtail icon appear here. We have a lot of wagtails hanging out in our neighborhood. There's little cute little birds. I'll go to the wagtail admin, and there's kind of flittering around here and there, catching bugs. And this time of year, there's a bunch of little seeds coming down, floating across your vision like snow from birch trees. They're like little seed pods with little wings, and that causes them to float. Funny thing, I've just never really paid much attention to until this year for whatever reason. Anyway, I've also noticed that I've been working with wagtail, what the little wagtails are doing around me. A little bit curious, and I noticed a little baby wagtail was kind of flittering around and eating these little birch seeds. I guess they're like little nutrition bits with a fibrous wrapper. Seemed to be enjoying them. So we're going to go to our community section, online worship. So the page is empty because nothing's been created. Let's add them. Go ahead and do that now. And I think all we're going to need is just, haven't put factories, or I've got a couple of factories, but I don't have any fixtures to get project data up. I've been a solo developer here. Haven't focused in on a lot of the quality assurance things. Wow, that was interesting. The niceties, that wasn't actually. So this is kind of freaking out. Strange. And forgot to change the title. Why is it getting our debug? I thought I had removed this from the project just for convenience. I want to make more use of Django debug toolbar. Let's see if those keep popping up. So I'm glad I didn't remove it entirely from the project, although I thought I had. Only like 10 of these tend to get into the pagination if that is a factor here, because I think online worship coverage, so this is the community section. Let me double check if we might work coverage here. Community, we're at 98% here. Just coverage missing. Okay, so this I think I can fix now. That's yummy. Yeah, let's do this in the second half of the show. Should be able to switch it over now that it was having some weird behavior. I'll get more into it later. But I was following the docs. Everything should work when you follow the docs, and couldn't find any bug reports. So, or other people having a similar issue on Stack Overflow. Opened my own question, got no responses, so everything was kind of pointing to something going on with my setup. I believe it was this static media files bug that I resolved, and hence I had to enable Django debug a moment ago. So yeah, if we go back to the online worship directory, let's just see if, okay, so we do have data now. So it's, the problem is it's still getting the children, it's sorting them. Well, it seems alphabetically, but I just created those, like so. Online worship. Items, I don't know. Yes, because it will need. And for consistency. I can use that. I already copied it. And okay. Good grief. Well, let's leave that. Save it though. And we should basically get the same result. Except sorted. Okay, so that's good. Let's see. OW. Let's create one. Oh, my session got corrupted. So somehow when I'm probably bringing a browser cookie there. I don't know if that would have sustained session data corruption, but let's see. So just do the self get children. We should see this one at the end of the list, right? Fourth created. Okay, good. Now we got this, and we got the dictionary sort there. If I do that, then it should go to the front. But if I remove the dictionary, Control Shift Z, something, because I hit that. Back to that one more time, just so I get a movement. And then these now should be sorted because no. Okay. All right. Online worship meetings. Order by title. Order by. This is an HTTP request. This is a tuple. This is a dictionary. Get my import. Good to go. Check the stream chat. All right. I don't know if this really... It's cheaper to sort a smaller set. I don't know that I need all. Yeah, it's a little cleaner, but order by title, that's... Session data corrupted. That worked. Huh. Am I restarting the server in the middle of a refresh? What am I doing here? Okay, so anyway, we're good to go. We've got this order by, so a little shuffle. Yeah, now here's what a Django debug toolbar would be useful. 20 queries. See, that's quite a lot. All right. I'll put it back in, but only conditionally. Only if Django debug. True. Or just actually debug is true, right? So apparently it is in our apps, common core settings. Yeah, so this is the pattern. URL patterns should be core. This is the pattern. Oh, it's there. Let me check our... dependencies. I switched from poetry. I'm managing my little bespoke makefile. I know it's like compile deps. Actually, do I want to compile or just install? I should probably install deps, compile deps, update deps. I mean, the main reasons I was using poetry was to have these convenience methods. The lock file, I suppose. But pip is getting some of these features, including looking at file hashes, which I'm not relying on. And honestly, the poetry lock sometimes is a pain in the tuchus. Pain in the tushy. Especially with conflicts. I think the middleware is the only one that's not here, so let's check our middleware. It's there also. So now I have to get this in my... muscle memory. That's why I was getting the errors here, because it was like partially instantiated. Huh. Partially debugged. That doesn't make sense. Everything here is contingent. Except... yeah, even that. Okay, got 20 queries. Oh, man, so frustrating when stuff like this breaks. As early as possible in the list, however. Maybe, but it's 404s in the URLs, which doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, maybe I just can't use this tool. Maybe I just need to get rid of the Django toolbar, debug toolbar. I was hoping it would help me catch these sort of N+1 error query things. Ah. Could. No. Maybe. I really do want to append it. Ah. That was the problem, and it was masked behind this type ignore. It's possibly unbound. Let me double check here. Find it. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Doesn't hurt to import it. I don't think that should matter. I just don't want to register it. So maybe that was the deal. This conditional import. Plus equals, so plus equals is sort of like append, right? I suppose so. This returns a list. Ah, so that plus, yeah, right, list. That basically was behaving like that. We were plus equaling a list with that. Now the middleware needs to be high in the list. This is the tricky part. So I can just slap it onto the end of the list. However, it must come after any middleware that encodes the response. Well, this kind of redirect, it's a form of response. So I don't know. It seems like it could be here, fine. And you know, whether or not I use this or append, those are, I think, the same. They have the same effect. Let me try refreshing one more time. I'm not going to spend too much time with this middleware. I see that now we've got 14 queries though, which is cool. 14 from 20. Now it's 20. All right, I don't know what's different. Dang. All of them are 404. All right, well, as I said, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm prone to take it out of the project. Google it. Oh, there's... little distractions. Yep. Finally figured out what the problem was. I was adding explicit setup URL configuration after the mezzanine cache. Catch-all URL. Oh, yes. Yeah. Good catch. That's making sense. So I have my wagtail catch-all right here. Yep. So it couldn't, same problem. Prepend it. Is there such a thing as list prepend? No. But I'm gonna search it. Before I do that, and outsource my brain, let me just think for a second. I think it's just, I can use the index notation, setting it the 0th item. The thing I want to avoid is overriding the 0th item. I just want it to move the 0th item, right? Question? To prepend an item to a Python list, you can use the insert method by specifying an index as 0 and then the item to be inserted. Here's the example. My list, insert, prepend me. Very good. Insert. Very cool. 0. 0th item. Sort of, it's, you know, gotta come in pretty early. And then I could, if I need to move the, for example, middleware, I can shift that around in the list. I think the middleware is fine here after the response has been processed by Wagtail's redirect middleware. Excuse me, got some gas bubbling up. Good, now things are gonna work. Session data is corrupted. Control Shift R. Now I can look at my lovely queries. Nice. Sometimes 14, sometimes 20. Mm-hmm. So this was generated by Wagtail, the framework kind of getting whatever it's doing. I don't know how to explain this in English. But we're getting our homepage, because I've got a homepage link here. So kind of some of these are menu related. Community page link. So yeah, building every page because of the navigation menu structure takes several queries. But here's where we're after. And this is essentially one query. Now, I think we fixed the N+1. It only took like an hour. How long has it been? 47 minutes. And some twiddling and fiddling. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of this. I think they were a good 47 minutes. I got the debug toolbar working again. If I just delete those. It's sort of like, maybe it will automatically do this for me. It'll join the fields that are specific to the community online worship model, along with the fields that are containing all Wagtail core pages, and render the list. Hopefully it'll... Yep, that was it for me too. Cheers, thank you. It's kind of like, I would upvote that. See, now this is an example though. If I get a bug, I search for it, you know, and other people are having it right. There's something I was doing wrong, but it's not unique to my setup. It's these indicators. It's a common mistake, a common pattern, but yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but there's certain issues where I'm not getting any search results on Google, and I'm fairly adept at Googling my things that are breaking, especially error messages and things like that. But mysterious ones, it's where you're not getting an error even. Sometimes it's a bit harder to word those searches. But yeah, if it's like crickets, no search results, usually it's something I've done internally, or there's some weird underlying bug. So let's close that. Let's see, so we're going to leave that one open. Our N+1 query should be looking better. The online meeting directory will hide that. Refreshing the page works. I think that was some old code, so all these places where I'm using dot specific might just work now. At some point in the Wagtail 2 or 3, now we're at like Wagtail 5, I think. 5.1. I used to have to add specific in a lot of places to get fields from a particular instance. Now I think either I was doing that too much, or the use is it's no longer required. I'm not going to remove that from our whole project though. And this specific thing is a remnant of the Wagtail page model, extending that and adding other fields. I don't know the reasoning behind it. It was necessity at some point. So what have we changed? Some annotations. Now we're returning the context. And at some point I might sort those by meeting date. Because if we look at the Western Friend website, this could be an enhancement we can add during this live stream. Live stream here. Latest issue on Dignity, published in August 2023. Okay, very cool. The good snapshot of the website then. Oh, back to the thing. Online worship. See, they're sorted. This is like a hand curated list. It's not anything the database is doing. They're sort of sorted by day. And sometimes local translated, sometimes not. A little bit of inconsistent. This is just like an HTML page written with hyperlinks and stuff. I'm gonna just stick with this simple solution for now. We'll just go ahead and commit those both here. I'm in my branch. Yep. Okay, it's a small PR. Go ahead and open that, publish the branch, open a pull request. Then we're going to switch over real quick. Hoping that resolves the N+1 queries. I don't know how to like specifically validate that it did. Aside, I guess I could switch back and forth between the branches. I'll link to it. We can track it. This is pretty handy. Nice. Oh, so then if I view this, oops, ah, darn it, wrong browser. Learning to navigate the Sentry interface as well. This will close it. Number 821. The thing's a little bit out of order. Let's see what that report looks like. Links to it. Go ahead and merge it, call it good. Okay. We're going to try to fix this small lingering bug. I have opened in another tab. And that's a pretty good session. Refresh. I don't have a specific issue for this next bug. I recall. Let me double check if maybe I do. Maybe. I opened a bunch. Review comments. Yeah, actually I do. 773. trying to do is I've got a little JavaScript, the only 5 lines of JavaScript in this project, amazingly. No front-end framework, no build tool, pure Django, HTML, full stack development. All right. What happens though, now there's some JavaScript on this thing, Wagtails, certainly other things, but not from our code. A little bit of JavaScript, sprinkles of that. Careful about how much that stuff goes to your project. Pure Python, HTML, CSS, more CSS than JavaScript. A little bit of makefile sprinkled in there and a proc file. Oh yeah, because we're deploying Heroku. Actually, it's DigitalOcean app platform, which is pretty cool. So I've got this little bit of JavaScript. It generates a slug so that we're populating a field in a form in the Wagtail admin. Let's take a look. Logging in, checking chat, 302 not found. Yeah, I guess that was expected for Django debug to do that. I don't know. Yeah. Expected behavior. It even told me what it was doing. So here it is. Wagtail does, so it's got an interesting model where the content model, the view, and the URLs are kind of fused together. And all of this admin interface is auto-generated, kind of like the Django admin, but like for everyone. Django admin is for sort of like DB engineer type roles who might have to get in and fiddle with some data sometimes. But essentially, Wagtail allows you to define a interface for all content editors, general content management system, and it draws heavily from WordPress in terms of usability. That's cool. What we have are some forms that are populated based on models. So we have this community model. Actually, I have a contact model. The community menu links to several other apps. I kind of just consolidated things really quick under here, but these are all contacts. They're contact types. So we will look here. Each model is basically a regular Django model. A person inheriting from this Wagtail page model, which is basically a Django model with a bunch of baked in features. But you define them like regular fields. So that's familiar for most Django developers. But then you add this content panels list, which is really interesting. And this gives Wagtail enough metadata to tell it how to render a form. So when I go to people and I say add person, go to redirect. Thank you, debug. I think I asked you to do that. Thank you. That's right. I did ask you to do that. That's right. All right. It renders this form. Now wait a minute. Debug. Get off my screen. Get out of my way. God. What's going on? Man. It's just freaking out. I think because I told it to do something else here. Profiling. I enabled that. Okay. Shouldn't have done that. I get it. People. Add person. So strike all that from the list. No! me double check. Django debug is true. I'm gonna just remove it from the project. I'm just removing it from the project. Man. History is the thing that's freaking out. Turn them all off. Community. People. Add person. This form I didn't write. I just defined it here, and Wagtail knows the field type for each of these fields. It's able to inspect that, and it knows for a character field to render the types of form fields you see here. And number fields, it does that. And it has a lot of other nuances, like a commenting flow, previews for mobile, publication workflow that you can customize. It's like super good. CMS, like excellent. Just the developer experience and the user experience are really great. Now, what I have, and it even has like tabs. So there's this, you can tuck away fields and stuff. There's this field here. It's a required field here, and it's on a tab. Most users don't even look there, but it's required. In order to generate a URL slug, you have to have this. What happens is when you put some content in, the thing over here, it's populating that. Now normally there's a title field, and whatever you put in the title field just gets populated over to this slug field on promote. But we have a custom model here, and I kind of dropped the title. It's still there, but it's not rendering, so you can't even edit the title. And in order to know how to populate that, I have to program. That was just a little bit of code I added there, but it's not too bad. Now I need to tell Wagtail to run this code, and there's a very straightforward way of doing it. It's over here on this one. So under the community site, Wagtail hooks. This is the way you customize the Wagtail admin interface. This is pretty cool, pretty powerful stuff, and it's one of the coolest things about Wagtail. This is admin interfaces. So interesting. And you know, we were even thinking, should we revert back to WordPress? We're running Drupal right now. Should we upgrade to Drupal like 10, I think now by this? But when we were deciding 5 years ago, it was Drupal 8, and we ended up not going back to WordPress, even though the developer experience for WordPress was arguably improving. The language PHP has improved a lot as well. But I was sort of in my career trajectory moving a lot into Python land. I'm still learning a lot about Python, and really like Django. And Wagtail's built on Django, and I don't know, we just went with it. After some discernment and discussion, we'll go over here to community. And well, you know, I thought naively it would be a 6-month project. It was 5 years. So basically what happens here is at the end of this file, I've defined this hook, a Wagtail hook, like allows, you know, certain code to run at particular events. When the Wagtail user interface is generating the editor JavaScript, I can hook into that event a little function here that essentially appends it. I don't know how it works. It was a recipe I got. don't know how it works more than that, aside from we've got a script here defined in our code. It's our own little JavaScript. Should have moved to JavaScript there as well. I didn't do that, huh? Interestingly, it's still under 4, I guess. I don't know where I put it. Oh no, actually it's under community. Community or contact static JS. Here it is. It's a very simple, small thing. Just a couple of functions. Grabs the DOM elements. Makes sure that they're there. And parses them to a single string. Not much fanciness. No React hooks. Plain old JavaScript vanilla style. And so this wagtail hook is essentially just looking for this file and appending it a script tag with this. It's a list of files, which is just one long. And it's adding it into the, somehow it's adding it into the JS block. I don't know, really. This is like a recipe straight out of the Wagtail docs. It's like 5 years old, but the more direct, and this happens on every edit page is the drawback here. And even when you're not editing a person. So what I'm going to do is disable that. We can see it here. I did save it. But for the JavaScript, we should see no file coming through. Yes, reload. Okay. Now my session will be corrupted. Nonetheless, we should not see, let's see. That. Just hit save. I didn't mean to save that. When I refresh, nothing should appear. Now if I uncomment this, because here I can jiggle the handle. I wait for the service to rebuild. Django should notice that the file changed, perform some system checks. Then I can refresh, clearing cache. Data gets corrupted. There we have person URL slug. So essentially this gets evaluated and it makes this work. Boom, all right. So same file path, but rather than having this register on every single one of our forms, I'm kind of giving a little bit of a wagtail tour and helping myself remember this. The wagtail hooks lets us define menu structure, and then in the particular area, the model admin, so it's not just menu structure, but also the editing form and page listing. It's really interesting how Wagtail is organized. So when we're administering person models, we can list them and sort them and filter them. And when we're rendering the form, we can include some extra JavaScript here. Same JavaScript. This now works. I can reload and my session. It's a bit annoying. I have to do this over and over. Should now include that JavaScript. But yeah, that's the weird thing. Same exact file path. Person URL slug.js. Huh. Does not work, and this is the officially documented way to bind JavaScript to the Wagtail model admin form. That's the way you do it. Anyway, alright, bummer. Thought that had something to do with my media URLs. Well, a bit disappointed by that. And this session data corrupted. Let's then see if I can have one more win from a slightly annoying loss. That's an interesting angle. So perhaps the way I'm generating a secret key. Well, since I'm not necessarily going to commit something, let's look at the settings real quick. I might have changed that. So we go to our core settings. Or get random secret. Yeah, that makes sense. That didn't necessarily change. Yeah, that makes sense. So this get random secret key. If debug is true, secret key equals secret. I don't know. This is a bit risky. Let me think this through a little bit. I'm not on a branch, I'm committing directly to main. I'm hard coding a secret. Not secret key. I don't have separate developer settings, so yeah. I'm gonna go with it. I'll commit to main. I'm gonna do it. Cowboy style, here we are. I'm from Kansas, I got a cowboy code sometimes. It's the way I work. Refresh. And that is about 1 hour, 15-minute live code session. Clip that. Committing not so secrets. and pushing directly to main. Where is my question? I didn't even get a response. I pretty well documented the issue. No response though. Not sure what to do. Okay, good. Well, it's been another episode of Code with Briley. Or Build with Briley I'm thinking about calling it as well, where we work on some open source projects, generally spanning weeks or months. They're typically not trivial things and works in progress. Learning as we go, developing things, and sometimes doing a little bit of cowboy code to kind of move the thing forward, move the project forward, hopefully in a safe manner, as we can see here with this not so secret key in my Django settings. I know that's frowned upon, and I'm trying to be careful about it, while balancing the developer experience with security in a production environment. I think that strikes a good balance. But if not, let me know in the comments if this is like totally a red flag. Shouldn't even do that. I'm open to taking a different approach. Don't know what it would be. Splitting out my settings into 3 files is not going to be that approach. Again, I'm just simplifying them. My aim here really is to simplify things so much. That's why I'm picking Django, writing very little JavaScript, very idiomatic code, using tools to help lift my abilities. I want to have good confidence in the code I'm writing. I want to use mature tools and technology and keep things, simple and enjoyable. So that's been another episode, Code with Briley. Thanks for checking it out. Hope you're doing well. Have a great day.